I used to be a Weird Warriors kid. Now I'm a Weird Warriors adult. Each week, I'm discussing a chapter of the iconic books by Aaron Hunter. My name is Charlie, and in today's episode, I will be talking about Prophecies Begin, Book 1, Into the Wild, Chapter 11. Join me on this adventure into the world of warrior cats. So the chapter art for chapter 11 is a cat looking right at the viewer through some leaves. At the beginning of this chapter, Firepaw returns with a chaffinch in his teeth, and he drops it in front of Tigerclaw in the sandy hollow. And he's the first one back, and he starts to explain to Tigerclaw how he has more prey buried behind that he can fetch. And Tigerclaw interrupts him and says, "I know exactly what you did. I've been watching you." It's like, whoa, okay. And this was making me think, oh, so did Firepaw not pass the test? Because in last week's episode, I was thinking that Tigerclaw was testing Firepaw by sending him towards the two-leg place for this assignment of catching as much prey as possible. And I thought that by leaving Smudge behind and leaving his past behind, it was definitely like his final goodbye to his past and like his final clarity to himself that, oh yeah, I don't want to go back to that life. But I guess Tigerclaw wasn't in Firepaw's head, so I don't know. But I felt like he passed the test. But by the way Tigerclaw is growling at him, like, "I've been watching you," I'm like, okay, I guess he's still mad at Firepaw. And why? I guess just because he used to be a kitty pet? I don't know. But anyway, then Greypaw appears, and he has a squirrel, and he says, "Yuck, squirrels are too furry. I'll be picking hairs out of my teeth all evening." Now this makes me wonder, and I want to keep an eye out for this in the future, if Greypaw will continue to not like squirrels. And then Tigerclaw says that Ravenpaw is late, and I'm just confused by that, because did they establish a time to come back? I was looking back at the previous chapter, and on pages 122 and 123, which is when Tigerclaw explains their assignment and then where each of them will go, I didn't see a place where he says, like, come back within this many, I don't know how they keep track of time. By the time the sun is at this point in the sky, like, he didn't say anything about that, so how is Ravenpaw late? He's just the last one back. But anyway, then Firepaw worries, what if he's been bitten by an adder? And Tigerclaw says, then it's his own fault. There's no room for fools in ThunderClan. Oh my god, he's such a jerk. So they wait, and Tigerclaw's lost in his own thoughts. Ravenpaw does come back, finally, and he is actually carrying an adder, and it says the diamond pattern. But I did want to look up what an adder looks like, because I've never actually done that, and they talk about adders a lot in this book. So let me Google adder. Oh, okay. That is kind of scary looking. Oh, there's a picture of someone holding it in their hand, and it does look very small. Oh, but there's another one right next to it of someone else holding one that's bigger. So I don't know. I understand why the cats would be scared of those things. Anyway, Tigerclaw doesn't really react to this, and he just leads them back to the camp. And as they enter camp, the kits are kind of admiring Firepaw, and talking about him. It says that Firepaw recognized the little tabby Yellowfang had hissed at the day before. Sitting next to him was a fluffy gray kit no more than 2 moons old. A tiny black kit and a small tortoiseshell stood beside them. The gray kit asks, "Isn't that the kitty pet Firepaw?" The tortoiseshell says, "They say he's a good hunter. He looks a bit like Lionheart. Do you suppose he's as good as him?" And the tabby says, "I can't wait to start my training. I'm going to be the best warrior ThunderClan has ever seen." Now I want to take note of that and maybe look back on this eventually, because I don't remember who these characters are. And I wonder, will this tabby kit grow up to be a great ThunderClan warrior? And the apprentices decide not to eat the adder, but instead put it on the tree stump for Dustpaw and Sandpaw to see when they get back. And they eat the other prey. And then they talk about how there's a gathering coming up, and that Sandpaw and Dustpaw have been twice already. And they wonder maybe Bluestar will choose one of them this time. And Firepaw says, "After all, we've been training for almost 3 moons now." But Ravenpaw points out that Sandpaw and Dustpaw are still the eldest apprentices. And Firepaw says this gathering will be an important one. It'll be the first time the clans have met since WindClan disappeared. No cat knows what ShadowClan's going to say about it. I kind of forgot that literally all of WindClan disappeared. Both this time I'm reading it and just since the first time I read it, like I forgot that this was a plot point. The entire clan disappeared? That's wild. Like, where did they go? I don't remember. But then Tiger Claw interrupts them, having snuck up on them unnoticed, and says to Firepaw smoothly that Bluestar wants to see him. Now, I feel like Tiger Claw would usually be annoyed by Bluestar giving him special treatment, but this time he seems kind of fine with this happening. So Firepaw's worrying, like, why would Bluestar want to see him? But as I'm reading that, I'm like, maybe because she wants to say that you're the one to go to the gathering? Maybe? But Firepaw's still very nervous, and Tiger Claw's like, now, if you can spare the time. And so Firepaw hurries immediately to Bluestar's den, where Bluestar is sitting outside, her tail flicking restlessly back and forth, and she says, "Tiger Claw has told me that he saw you talking with a cat from the two-leg place today." And Firepaw tries to explain himself, but Bluestar interrupts him and says, "He said that you began by fighting with this cat, but ended up sharing tongues with it." And Firepaw admits that's true, but he was an old friend. We grew up together when I was a kitty pet. And Bluestar asks, "Do you miss your old life, Firepaw?" I always feel like reading her dialogue in a British accent. "Do you miss your old life, Firepaw?" I don't judge my British accent, okay? And she says, "Think carefully now." And Firepaw says, "No," and thinks, how can Bluestar think that? It surprises me that he denies that he misses his old life and immediately wonders how in the world Bluestar could even think that, because it does seem like he misses it a little bit, or at least he has a good relationship with Smudge still, and he recognizes that there are some cons to the warrior life, even if he feels that the pros outweigh them. But I don't know. And then Firepaw wonders, what was Bluestar trying to make him say? And Bluestar asks, "Do you wish to leave the clan?" And Firepaw says, "Of course not." And Bluestar says, "I won't judge you if you leave us, Firepaw. Perhaps I expected too much of you. Perhaps my judgment has been clouded by the clan's need for new warriors." And panic swept through Firepaw at the thought of leaving the clan forever. And he says, "But my place is here. This is my home." "I need more than that, Firepaw. I need to be able to trust in your loyalty to ThunderClan, especially now that it looks like ShadowClan is planning an attack. We don't have room for anyone who isn't sure whether their heart lies in the past or the present." And I think Firepaw handles this well. He chooses his next words carefully and says, "When I saw Smudge today, I saw what life would have been like if I had stayed with the two legs. I felt happy that I had not stayed. I was proud I left. Meeting Smudge made me certain I made the right decision. I could never have been satisfied with the soft life of a kitty pet. And Bluestar looks closely at him and then says, very well, I believe you. And then they totally switch up the topic as Bluestar brings up Yellowfang and says she spoke to her earlier. She thinks a lot of you. She's a wise old she-cat, you know, and I suspect she wasn't always bad-tempered. Indeed, I think I could grow to like her. I don't know, should I keep doing that accent for Bluestar? Now, I am wondering what Yellowfang said to Bluestar about Firepaw that made Bluestar realize this, because I can't really imagine Yellowfang saying to Bluestar, yeah, Firepaw's great, he really took care of me, but Firepaw feels an unexpected glow of pleasure at these words. Maybe in caring for Yellowfang, his admiration for her had grown into affection, despite the she-cat's ill temper. Whatever the reason, he was glad Bluestar liked her too. And I'm glad they both like Yellowfang as well. I mean, Yellowfang has said some awful things to Firepaw, but looking back, I remember her being one of my favorite characters, so I'm glad that Firepaw and Bluestar like her. Although Bluestar does say, but there is something about her that I don't trust. She will stay with ThunderClan for now, but remain as a prisoner. The queens will care for her. You must concentrate on your training. Now, I wonder what about Yellowfang Bluestar still doesn't trust. And I also wonder why she assigned the queens to take care of her, because the queens are probably already very busy taking care of their own kids. Also, not that Bluestar would realize this, but as Firepaw has observed multiple times, Yellowfang does not like kids, and this will only put her in closer proximity with them. But Bluestar says, Firepaw, although you showed bad judgment today in talking to a house cat, Tigerclaw was impressed by your hunting skills. In fact, he reported that you all did well. I am pleased with your progress. You will come to the gathering. All three of you. Yay! They all get to go to the gathering. Also, how did Tigerclaw tell Bluestar that they all did well? I'm sure he hated telling her that. And Firepaw asks about Sandpaw and Dustpaw, and Bluestar says they will stay behind and guard the camp. And she dismisses Firepaw, and he runs back to Ravenpaw and Greypaw, who are waiting nervously, and ask what Bluestar said. And Ravenpaw says, Tigerclaw told us you'd been sharing tongues with a kitty pet this morning. Are you in trouble? Of course, Tigerclaw was gossiping to them about Firepaw. He's so unprofessional and rude. But Firepaw says that Bluestar wasn't pleased and thought he might want to leave ThunderClan. And Ravenpaw asks, you don't, do you? And Greypaw says, of course he doesn't. And then they kind of start play fighting with each other as Firepaw gives Greypaw an affectionate swipe and says, yeah, you'd hate that. You'd need me to catch mice for you. All you can catch these days are hairy old squirrels. And even though Firepaw feels too excited to waste time play fighting, it only escalates when he tells them that they're going to the gathering, because Greypaw lets out a yowl of delight and bounds up onto the tree stump, and he knocks the adder flying into Ravenpaw, where it hits him on the head and then wraps around his neck. And then Ravenpaw shakes it off, and they all start kind of tackling each other and wrestling until finally they all take a breath. And Greypaw asks, are Sandpaw and Dustpaw coming too? And Firepaw says, nope, unable to disguise the note of triumph in his voice. They have to stay behind and guard the camp. And Greypaw begs, let me tell them. I can't wait to see the looks on their faces. And Firepaw says, me neither. I can't believe we're going instead of them, especially after Tigerclaw saw me with Smudge today. That was just bad luck, said Greypaw. We all caught a load of prey in the assessment. That must be what decided it. And Ravenpaw wonders what the gathering will be like. And Greypaw says it will be fantastic and starts listing great warriors that he bets they'll see there, like Clawface and Stonefur. Clawface sounds kind of familiar. I don't think I remember Stonefur. Maybe? I don't know. But Firepaw stops listening because instead he starts thinking about Tigerclaw and Smudge. Greypaw was right. It was bad luck that the Great Warrior had been observing him when he had met his old friend. Why couldn't he have been watching Greypaw or Ravenpaw instead? In fact, it was bad luck that Tigerclaw had sent him so near the two-leg place at all. Suddenly, a dark thought entered Firepaw's mind. Why had Tigerclaw sent him so near his old haunts? Had he wanted to test him? Could it be the great dark warrior didn't trust his loyalty to ThunderClan? And that's the end of the chapter, with Firepaw finally asking the question I've been asking ever since Tigerclaw sent Firepaw to the two-leg place area. So that is chapter 11. I think it's a great chapter. It's another short and sweet one. I feel like these chapters definitely range in how long they are. We've had a couple short ones in a row, but I'm wondering if we'll have some more longer chapters nearing the end of the book. Although, I guess I shouldn't get too ahead of myself. I think we're only a little bit past halfway through this book. But I just want to keep reading. I just want to keep going. And I'm excited to get to book 2 soon, hopefully. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here. This has been Into the World of Warrior Cats.